This is the third video in our NumPy playlist, and this video is going to be about slicing, indexing and stacking NumPy arrays. If you wanted to check out the earlier videos, I have included the link of the NumPy playlist. You can check it out in the description. So here I am using Spyder IDE for Python. In the first line I am importing NumPy package, import NumPy as np. Next I am using np.arange to create an array, and I am assigning this one dimension array to a variable a, and I am displaying the variable a. So when I run this piece of code, you can see that the array a has values from 0 through 8. And let's just start with the indexing part. The way in which indexing is done is, indexing starts from 0. So you see the values within the box, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and indexing starts from 0 and it continues till 8. Now if I wanted to select the first element of the array, I can give as a of 1, and when I run this piece of code, you can see the value 1 as output. So this means that I am selecting the value with index 1. So likewise, I can also select the values by indexes. If I give a of 5, then I can get the corresponding value for the fifth index. I can also get a range of values through indexes. Say for example, I wanted to select the first 4 values. So I will have to start with 0 and then I will have to end with 5. So here 0 is inclusive and 5 is not inclusive. So it will give the values from index 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you can just see this. If I run this piece of code, I am getting the first 5 values. I can also give the value of -1 for the index so that it gets the last value from the index. So if I give a of -1, then you can see that the last value, which is 8, is displayed over here. If I give the value for index as -2, then last but one value is displayed, and you can see that in the output 7 is displayed. So if I have to select the last 3 values from the array A and assign it to some other array, then how should I do that? I should just refer the index from 6 through 9, because last index is not fetched. So I should refer the index 6 through 9, and I would be giving it like this, 6 colon 9, and I would be assigning it to some other array called xy. And when I display the xy, you can see that the last 3 values are displayed. Now I am going to just reshape this array. So I'll just reshape this into a 2-dimensional 3 by 3 array. Now when I just display this array, in the right you can see that. So now when I give the value a of 1, 1 and run this line, you can see that the output is 4. So this 1, which is to the left of the comma, is the row, and so it is checking for the row with index number 1. As usual, the first row will be having index 0, second row is having index 1, and likewise this 1 is the column. So it is going to check the column with index 1. So the first column is having index 0 and the second column is having index 1. So that's how 4 is taken as output. So I can also just slice it. Say for example, if I wanted to get all the rows from A, so for the row I am just giving colon, and I just wanted to get the column with index 1. So when I run this piece of code, you can see the value as 1, 4 and 7 here. So it has just taken all the rows and then it has taken the column with index 1. So likewise, I can use this to slice different values. So likewise, if I have to actually select the last column, which is 2, 5, 8 from A, then for the row I am going to give colon, which means that all the rows should be selected, and for the column, because it's the last column, I can give -1. And if I run this line, you can see that 2, 5, 8 is selected. So if I wanted to select 4, 5, 7 and 8, so for the rows, I'll have to select both the rows. So I'll have to start with row with index 1. So I'll have to give 1, and then I'll have to give column 3, because I'll have to select both 1 and 2. And same for the column, I'll have to start from column with index 1, and I'll have to select 2 as well, second column as well. So I'll have to give 1:3 for column, and when I run this, you can see that 4, 5, 7 and 8 are displayed. Next, I wanted to create one more matrix called B. So I will just use the same format, and for the values of the matrix, I wanted to start with 10, and then I wanted to have until 18. So here I am giving 10, 19, and then I am just assigning it to value B, and I am displaying the B. So you can see that the new matrix B is displayed in the right. I will create some space, and now if I wanted to traverse through all the rows, then I could use for statement for that. So I can just use for row in B, print row. When I run this piece of code, you can see that the rows are displayed, and if I wanted to actually traverse through each elements within the matrix B, then there is something called flatten. So I can use that to traverse through each element. So I am just going to use for probably element in B dot flatten, and then I'm going to print element. What happens now is the matrix B is going to be flattened to a single dimensional array with all these values in it. So when I just run this piece of code, you can see that I am able to traverse through all the elements within the matrix by flattening it. Now we have two matrices, A and B. Let me just display the values of both the matrix. Here is the matrix A, and then here is the matrix B. If I wanted to concatenate both the matrix, then I can use np.concatenate, and then I should give tuples as input. So here I am just giving A comma B, and when I run this, you can see that both the matrices are stacked one on top of other. I can achieve the same effect by using vertical stack. Here I am just using np.bstack, and then I am giving A comma B as inputs. So when I run this piece of code, you can see that it is having same effect. So concatenate and vertical stack or VStack will be having same effect. Concatenate by default considers the axis as 0 and then does a vertical stack by arranging one array on top of another array. But I can also give the axis as 1. So when I do this and display it, you can see that both the arrays A and B are stacked horizontally. Same effect can be obtained by using np.hstack, which is horizontal stack, and you can just check out the result over here. When I run the code in line number 36, you can see that both the arrays are stacked horizontally. Now I will create one more array and name it as C. So I'll just use the same syntax, and probably I will just name it as C, display C, and I will create it with 12 elements, and then maybe I can give the shape of this as 3, 4. I will just run this and display the array. The new array C has been created, and it is there with the values from 0 through 11. Like we did for stacking, we can also use splitting. So here, instead of VStack and HStack, we can use VSplit and HSplit to split the arrays. So in order to do that, I am using np.vsplit, and then I wanted to split the array C, and I wanted to split it vertically or through the vertical axis. So there are 3 rows. The only way I can split it is by giving 3 here, which means that the array C will be splitted into 3 different arrays. When I run this, you can see that the output is 3 arrays. One array is having value 0, 1, 2, 3, and the second array is having value 4, 5, 6, 7, and third array is having value 8, 9, 10, and 11. Likewise, I can also use horizontal split. So here I can use np.hsplit, and for horizontal split I can just give the value as 2, because I can split this C array into 2 arrays. So the first array can be having 3 rows and 2 columns, and second array can be having 3 rows and 2 columns. Let's try that out. So I am giving C comma 2, and when I run this, you can see that the output is having 2 arrays. I can also just split the C array to 4, because there will be like 3 rows and 1 column each. When I run this, you can see that the output is having 4 arrays. I will display the array C one more time so that we don't have to scroll up, and I will make more space here. I can just use comparison operator on the array C. So for example, if I give C greater than 5 and run this piece of code, you can see that wherever C is greater than 5, the output is true, otherwise it is false. So I can just store the output in another array by name D, and then I can print out the array D. When I run this line of code, you can see that array D is having all these boolean operator. So now when I give C, and then if I give another array D in this syntax and run the piece of code, then you can see that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 are displayed. So here basically the array C is displayed, and it is checking out the condition true in D, and wherever there is a true, those corresponding elements of C is displayed. When I give C of D equal to, say for example 22, and then when I display C, then you can check that wherever the condition has become true in the array C, all these values are assigned with a default value, which is 22. So this is pretty much I had for this tutorial. I will include more comments to this code, and then include the link for this code in the description of this video. I hope you like this video. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Thank you very much.